Bishop, good to see you again. Recently, the building where your offices are has been the scene of some demonstrations, and people want to try to save Bishop Ford High School. Can you help us with understanding the decision to close Bishop Ford High School? Who made it? How was it made? What were the factors that went into that?
Well, the decision was made by the new board of directors of the high school. Go back 3 years at least to say that the Bishop Ford had come to us to borrow money to make payroll. They had a cash flow problem, so we lent them some money. And we came to the point in this last year that the enrollment was low, but also it came to our attention that had not had an audit in 3 years. And they owed $2.2 million in taxes to the state and to the IRS, for which the board was personally responsible. And so they were looking to see what they could do. And we, again, lent them money for this last year. But their projections for the year to come, they have a new principal and tried to turn it around, but they only had 70 students who were registered and paid, which left them already with a deficit of $850,000 that they, without even counting that they were supposed to have 85 students. So they were in a greater deficit. It was a decision of the board of directors that they would not open the school again. Again, it was done rather late, unfortunately. It should have been done probably earlier. They were hoping against hope that more people would register, and were being accused of having this meeting on Palm Sunday evening, but that was to facilitate that we could find the schools for the children that were there. It was all to hurry up the process of closing it so that the students would not be left out in the cold.
Yeah.
So that's what caused some of the problem. Saving it would mean coming up with $7 million to cover the debts they have now without even the deficit for the year to come. So it was impossible for the diocese to lend more money. And the money that's lent comes from the Compostela Fund, which has a separate board of directors, which is lent on the possibility that the money is going to be repaid. It isn't a grant. We don't have the money in the diocese to be able to bail out all the schools that are in trouble. Although we have given another school a line of credit, but secured by the building itself. So there's a lot of different issues here that most people can't understand, as if it was the bishop himself closing the school. That is not true. We were not able to allow them to have more money lent to them to keep it open. Perhaps you can say it's our fault that we didn't lend them any money, but we don't have the money to lend them in that way.
Well, when you say 70 students, you mean 70 incoming
New
freshmen.
students, right.
And I think the total enrollment for next year was projected to be about 420, which was only about a third of where they were about 8 years ago.
Oh, definitely. It's way down, way down.
Yeah. So is part of the problem demographics then? Are there not enough kids, or are the kids not able to pay this kind of tuition?
There is a little demographic issue. There's less children being born in this cohort these years, but it really is people can't pay the tuition. And so they have to give a lot of scholarships, which they don't have the money to do.
What are they trying to do for the students who are there? Obviously, you want to try to get them into
Well, they had
Catholic
a high school fair. I think they had 25 schools there from our diocese, from the Archdiocese of New York, that were enrolling students. I don't know the final numbers, but it seems like some of the schools picked up quite a few students. Some of them were offering them the same tuition until they graduated. So I think that was very generous on the part of the other schools. I don't know the final number of who was picked up by the Catholic schools or who decided to go to public school.
Yeah. You know, I mean, obviously the alumni is upset and they want to try to save the school. Is there anything at all possible that could they bring a proposal to you to say, here, can we save the school?
It's not to me, it's to the board that has to pay all this debt. And that's where the problem is. We can lend money to a certain point, which we have. We're in the hole for this money, which we have to now make up. It's not, the school can't repay it. It's the board that's running the school. I'm not running the school. It's a separately incorporated school. We come to the end of our rope of what we can do. Now, it depends on the school coming up with a minimum of $5 million. You might be able to float the other two, but it's a minimum of $5 million to put the thing in some kind of order, notwithstanding that you may have another $1 million worth of debt if you open the school up.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for the faculty. Many of them have been there a long time. But this is the issue we're dealing with.
Now, the diocese owns the building, and you know.
Well, it reverts to us since the school is not being run there. Other people have said, well, we've done that so we can take the building back. It's not true. The building is rented. I mean, we have the offices of the tablet are in the building. There's the studio there. There's 2 other people renting space there. So there's not much we can do with the building at this time anyhow. So it's taking it back with a lot of debt on it. And there's a lien on it by the IRS on top of it all, which has to be repaid.
Yeah. You hear some people say, well, the diocese just wants to turn it into condos and make money.
Well, there's no plan to turn it into condos to make any money on it. That's not going to happen. You have 2 people with leases in there and the tablet offices. We're not going to turn it into condos.
Could, you know, we had that failed attempt to try to get some aid from the state for people who want to, you know, give money. Could that have saved the schools?
Well, probably not, but it would have helped people raising money for schools, because there would have been a tax advantage for people who donated to scholarship funds. Hoping that could have saved the school. It's a long shot, because you'd have to raise the money first, then you'd have to be able to make sure that the students got the relief on the tuition so they could come. So that's a really long shot. It's unfortunate it didn't happen, but that would not have saved the school.
Yeah. Are there seats in other Catholic high schools if these
There
children...
is more than enough seats for everybody there if they wish to take advantage of it.
What would you say to a group of alumni who would come up to you and say, Bishop, what's going on here? I mean, what would you say?
I would say I'm sorry that this happened, but again, it was out of our control. It wasn't that we were manipulating anything, or this is a problem of the board that was there, the former administration. You didn't have an audit in 3 years, so nobody knew exactly what was happening. So it's a difficult situation and an unfortunate one. Who knows what the future will be? We don't know what will happen there.
Bishop, thanks so much.
Okay.